Hey, this is SJ Talks to Life coming back at you with another video. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and thank you. Um, Janice Combs, I believe that's her name. Um, Puff, 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 Puff Daddy's, Puff, whatever, P. Diddy or whatever the heck he calls himself. P. Diddy, whatever. His mom, she a few weeks ago, a couple 2 or 3 weeks ago, came in the news. She came forth with a statement and said that Janice Combs, P Diddy's mom, came forth with a statement and said that I don't remember everything verbatim. What she said, that you know until he's let the case play out until he's innocent until proven guilty. Please, that's my son and some other stuff. Um, I think she said something about she don't believe the accusations and mother stuff. It's typical mother stuff. What a mother would say. Please hold judgment until um, you know he's innocent until proven guilty. That type of situation, and typical things that what a mother would probably say in a situation like that. And like, this is my son, and this is nice. I can't. I don't remember everything verbatim that she said, but things of that nature. Please refrain from judgment until the case has been heard. He's proved innocent till proven guilty. And she says she doesn't believe that he did that. I think she did say she didn't believe he did it, about all those things and stuff like that. I think she said my son is not. She said my son is not innocent or not a saint or whatever. I think she said something to that effect too, as well. So she knows that she knows that he ain't that innocent. You know what I mean? But so she came forth, and she's getting a lot of backlash. She's been getting a lot of backlash for coming forth and making this statement about her son. But I am a mother of two sons myself. I looked at it from a mother's perspective. I am a mother of two sons myself. Um, and I look at things and I always have a soft spot. I'm a mom myself. I have a mom. And I always have a soft spot for the moms. I'm sorry, but I always have a soft spot for the moms. Always have a soft spot for moms. Because I'm a mother myself. So I have a soft spot for the moms. And um, so I have the tendency to look at things from a mother's perspective. And from a mother's perspective, when you look at it from a mother's perspective, because um, no matter what your son does, um, at the end of the day, he's still her son. He's still her son. We love our children unconditionally. Just like I told you about the case where these two black boys tried to unalive their parents. Thank God their parents survived. Over in Atlanta. This happened in Atlanta. Two black boys, I can't remember their names. They tried to unalive their mother and their father. They tried to get rid of both of them. Thank God. And they played the recording of the mother calling the police. It was terrible. They recorded the conversation that the mother was having with 911, and telling I think our son's just trying to get rid of us, and the son, well, I guess they tried to stab the parents, They tried to stab the parents, um, and thank God both parents, both the mother and the father, had survived, and they forgave them. They forgave them. They've been putting money on their books. They've been supporting them, and they said, "We forgive our sons." The mother especially came forth and said, "I forgive my sons." And so a lot of people was shocked that they forgave their sons and everything. But when you, I don't know about a father. Yeah, I thought that was really ironic amazing for the father, because usually the fathers be like, "I'm done." But the father and the mother forgave him. But and it's showing the brother's grace. But a mother, now I don't know about a father, but a mother's love is unconditional. A mother's love is unconditional, and it's like, no matter what your sons do or daughters do, there's that little place that you have in your heart for grace and forgiveness for them. No matter how disappointed, no matter how disappointed, no matter how mad you get at them, you may be mad at your sons, you may be disappointed in them, but there's that little place as a mother in your heart, unless you just one of these mothers that, now we got some mothers out here that they try to get rid of their kids. Some of them have. You got some mothers out here that they just stone cold. They just straight up stone cold, and they like, they, oh well, you know. But most mothers, most, I would say most mothers, most mothers have an unconditional love for their children. I'm going to go on record and saying most mothers. Most mothers have an unconditional love for their kids, no matter what your child has done. You may be mad at them. You may be very angry with them. You may be very upset with them. And you may be disappointed in them. But there's going to be some place in your heart as a mother. Now, I don't know about fathers, but as a mother, in some cases it's the fathers are too, but it's mostly the mother, because you carry the baby. The mother is the one that carries the baby and gives birth to the baby. So of course the mother is going to have a tighter bond, and no matter how mad you are, how upset you are, how disappointed, you're going to have that place in your heart for grace. It's going to be a place in your heart for grace. Now there are some exceptions, but in most cases there's going to be that place in you. Some mothers, they turn cold towards their kids, but in most cases, there's that. Most mothers have that unconditional love for their child, and when I heard that, a lot of she was getting a lot of backlash for making this comment. She's getting a lot of backlash because of all the horrific things that we're hearing about P. Diddy has done. And it's never ending. It's just, but he ain't the only one though. That's what they're saying, that he ain't the only one. But I'm not really. This is not what this video is about. I'm not really going into details about all that. You guys, if you guys been hit, they can't keep it out of the news, and they can't keep it off of YouTube. So you guys know what's up. But you know it's horrific what he's done. It's very horrific, and so she's, because of that, she's getting, they're looking at him as a, people are looking at him as a monster. People are seeing him as a monster. They're looking at him as a monster. And she said, I think she said something to the effect that she didn't believe all the allegations. Well, there's a video of him kicking a woman down the hall. I know she have to believe that, but she said she didn't believe all the allegations, and but I had to look at it from a mother's perspective. She, this has got to be really, really. She's probably having a really difficult time trying to process all this. I mean, you have to, as a mother, I look at it from a mother's perspective. She has to be having a very hard time trying to process all this and trying to make sense of all this. Because you got to remember, I think Janice Combs is 80 years old. She don't look it. She looks amazing for her age. Have you seen her? She looks amazing. That woman do not look 80 years old. she, Her black definitely didn't crack. That woman do not look 80, but she's 80 years old. She is 80 years old. And so you have to remember she's elderly. She is elderly. And so she's probably having a hard time processing all this stuff. She's having a hard time wrapping her mind around all this. And a lot of it is probably disbelief, shock, all kinds of, I imagine she's probably going through all kinds of emotions, and it's probably hard for her to wrap her mind around all this. She's probably having a very difficult time wrapping her mind around all this. And I just think that people shouldn't be so hard on her. I think people need to let up off of her. Um, don't be so quick to persecute the family members over something that he did. And um, I just think that people should cut her some slack. She is 80 years old. She's elderly. And I'm just looking at it from a mother's perspective. And it's probably hard for her to wrap her mind around all this. It's hard for her to understand it all. Probably got a lot of disbelief going on. And not because she doesn't feel bad for the victims, but she probably having a hard time processing all this. So my heart does go out, and I will be praying for Janice Combs, because this has to be very difficult for her. This has to be very difficult for her to process all this. And her son is locked up. But however, with that being said, I wasn't done. I am a mother of two sons myself. And you have to hold your sons accountable. And I think that's a part of the reason why she's getting a lot of the backlash, because people are looking at it like she ain't holding her son accountable. It's like she making excuses for him. And so people are upset because she doesn't appear to be holding him accountable. But you got to remember, she's 80 years old, and she's probably having a hard time wrapping her mind around all this. She's probably, you know what I'm saying? And then she's talking, I think she did mention the jokes and everything. I gotta admit, the jokes are funny. But she's talking about the jokes and all that. So, this is her son. This is her son. This is her son. This is her baby. But I will say this, as mothers to sons, we gotta hold our sons accountable. We have to hold them accountable. When our sons do something and you can still love them, and I think I put this in somebody's comment section. I think I wrote that in somebody's comment section. You can still love your sons and hold them accountable. My son's done things that I didn't agree with or go along with. And I told him, I let him know that was wrong. You was wrong for that. And was I angry at them? Was I disappointed in them? Absolutely. Because I'm like, you shouldn't have done that, or whatever situation it is. Am I angry? Am I disappointed? Yeah. My sons have disappointed me. They've done things to disappoint me. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. The whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, I still love my son. I still love them. I still show them grace. But I hold them accountable. And I'm like, man, if they do something, if my sons do something that ain't right, they got to suffer the consequences for it. Whatever those consequences are. It's like I told my youngest son, to not be driving without no license. And I told that story in another video. I tried to warn him about driving without a license, and to make a long story short, and he didn't want to listen to me. He told me, Mom, let me learn the hard way. I'm like, what in the world? I said, okay. So, he kept proceeded to keep driving without a driver's license. Cops kept stopping him. Thank God the cops up here follow the proper procedures. Thank God. Thank God. And he didn't get the crap beat out of him or anything like that. And some of the cops, believe it or not, some of the cops were even letting him off. I mean, they were even letting him off. I mean, I cannot say that these cops didn't do him right. I can't say it. I would be lying if I said that because a lot of them let him slide. They let him slide, but he got some tickets. Some of the cops wrote him tickets, and they wrote him, and he got fined. He had got some fines for driving without a license. But he could have gotten his car taken away. He could have gotten the car taken away, and he could have gotten arrested. None of the cops arrested him, but they just wrote a ticket, and he got fined. So he comes to me one day and he says, "Mom, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get my license." I said, "Oh," he said, "because I'm getting tired of paying all these fines." I said, "You think?" Didn't I try to tell you? I tried to tell my son, I tried to warn him about all that and try to tell him. And he didn't listen. He said, "Let me learn the hard way." I said, "Okay." What more can you say when they say that? So, yeah, he learned the hard way. I said, "Well, I tried to tell you." I tried to tell you. You didn't listen to me. I tried to tell you. He said, "I'm going to get that license." I said, "Yeah, you're going to get that license now, ain't you?" I said, "I tried to tell you." And I tried to tell him it's wrong. You should not be driving without no license. Now, it's one thing if you ain't updated your tags. I've been guilty of that. I done rolled dirty. uh, you haven't updated your tags in a timely manner or something like that. That ain't nothing but the state. That's something for the state to make money off of anyway. That's different. But when you're riding around without a license, you are supposed to have a license to drive. He had his permit, but he didn't have his license. When you're driving, you are supposed to have a license. That is the law. You're supposed to have a license to drive, and your license shouldn't be suspended. You should have a license to drive. And so he did not have his license at all. He had just had his permit. And so he just kept getting all these fines. And I said, "Man, you need to get your license." But he wouldn't listen until he got all these fines. He said, "I'm tired of paying all these fines." I said, "There you go." And so did I go down there fussing at the police and say, "You find my son?" And, mm-mm. What do I look like? I look stupid doing something like that. I had to let him face the music. When you go on, pay them fines, son. I ain't gonna go down to court fussing at the courts. What I look like doing that? Because I tried to tell him myself and he didn't listen. And so that's what I said. We have to, as mothers, we have to hold our sons accountable. If they out here doing something they ain't got no business doing and they get caught, as a mother, if you know beforehand they're doing it and you try to warn them and they don't listen, and then something happen and they gotta learn the hard way, be like, "Well, man, you gotta go on and suffer them consequences, man." That's what I say. That's why I tell my sons. I said, "Well, you gotta go on and face them consequences because I told you not to do it." That's when in that case I said, "I told you not to do it, man." When he came forth, he said he gonna get his license. I said, I'm tired. He said, "I'm tired of paying the fines, Mom." I said, "Well, I told you not to do." I said, "If you had to listen to me in the first place, you wouldn't have all these fines." So I mean, um, did I go down there fussing at the court or whatever, or come on you Facebook fussing at the police officers? What I look like? I look real stupid. No, it's like no. You knew you shouldn't have been out there driving with no license. Now you gotta face the music and you gotta face the consequences. You got fines. You know what happens when you don't pay your fines? You can get locked up. You be in contempt of court. So he gotta face the consequences. He had to suffer the consequences of that. Okay. So, but I still love my son. I still show my son grace. Okay. So you can love your son and still hold them accountable at the same time. You can still love them and hold them accountable. So Janice can still love her son. I understand that's her son, and I get it. I understand that. But she can still love her son and hold him accountable. But people was looking at it as she was being insensitive and not being insensitive to the victims and stuff. But maybe she should have worded things different, or maybe it would have been better for her to just not say anything at all. Maybe it would have been better for her to not make a comment at all and kind of support him behind the scenes. That type of situation. Maybe it probably would have been better for her to not make a comment at all. But she felt prompted to make a statement. But maybe it would have been better for her to not make a statement at all and just kind of support him behind the scenes. That type of situation. Because it just came across as her being insensitive to the victims. All she's thinking about is her son, and look at what the victims had to endure. She's not caring about what the victims had. And that's how people was looking at it, and I think that's why she got all the backlash. But I looked at it from I kind of looked at it from a mother's perspective, and because I'm a mother myself, and she's a mother of a particular age. She's 80 years old, so she's elderly, and so she's probably having a hard time wrapping her mind around all this. I don't think she, I don't think she meant it. I don't think she meant it to not to show disregard for the victims, but just having a hard time processing and believing all this. It is a lot, and it is a lot. It would be a lot for me to process as a mother. But I think if it was me, I wouldn't be coming out making no statements. If it was my son, I wouldn't be coming forth making no statements. I mean, if my son did something like that, I don't think I would be on social media coming forth making no statements, because it is kind of insensitive towards the victims. It is. I would kind of decidedly support him behind the scenes, and I think that's what she should have done. But as mothers, and I think black mothers get accused of all the time. I think as black mothers, we get isn't that what we get accused of? We get accused of coddling our sons and not holding them accountable. I think black women get accused of that a lot. But as mothers, across the board, of any race, particularly black mothers, all mothers, we need to hold our sons accountable. We need to hold them accountable. We must hold our sons accountable. We must hold them accountable. If they've done something wrong, we got to hold them accountable for what they have done. She needs to hold him accountable. But she can still love him and hold him accountable at the same time. Don't mean you got to stop loving him. I know that's your son. You can still love him and support him, but hold him accountable. Hold him accountable. I know she having a hard time believing all this, but it probably would have been better for her to not make a statement at all and just kind of silently support him behind the scenes. Okay, we gotta hold our sons accountable as mothers, and I'm a mother of two sons myself. They do something, man, you shouldn't have did that. That you was wrong for that. Oh well, man, now you gotta face the music. You gotta face the music. Whatever the consequences are to that, you gotta face the music. Does that mean you don't love them anymore? Absolutely. You still love your son. Now, does that mean you're not gonna forgive them? Does that mean you're not gonna show them any grace? Yeah. You can still love your sons, forgive them, and show them grace, but hold them to the fire. Hold them accountable. And as mothers, that's what we need to do. You know, don't make excuses for them. Don't coddle them. Just hold them accountable. You know. It say, hey, if he did this stuff, he was wrong for it. You know. I know that's all I'm saying, and I know it's hard for her as a mother. My heart and prayers do go out to her because I know it's hard. And I think people are being too hard on her. I know that it's hard for Mother Combs. I know it's got to be hard for her to handle this, and I always have a soft spot for the moms. I do. I have a soft spot for the moms, but my heart, I'm a keeper in my prayers, because I know she's probably having a very difficult time with all this, and yeah, it's sad. But I think people shouldn't don't be so quick to persecute the family members over something that he did. As they said, people are coming hard on his twins. Now I don't know that his that's one son that hit King. They say he got some allegations on him allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly, but I heard he's got some allegations of his own allegedly. So I don't know. I don't know about that for sure, but that people say they're coming down hard on his twin daughters. I don't think that's okay. That's not okay. This It's not their fault. It's not their fault that he did what you know. People shouldn't be so quick to persecute. Don't be so quick to persecute the family members because of what this man did. But when you do stuff like that, you do bring reproach on your family. When you do stuff like that, when you do things like that, when you do horrific stuff, you will bring reproach on your family. It does bring reproach on the whole family. It brings shame and reproach on the whole family. And that's what he's done. Unfortunately, his family is going to have to suffer. And it might be a generational curse on down the line, unfortunately. You know, I pray for that anointment. I have to pray for that to be broken because his grandkids can wind up suffering for that. Yeah. Might have to pray on that for the Holy Spirit to come through and break that thing because his grandkids might wind up having to suffer behind that. So on down the generations down the line, yeah. Sometimes you have to suffer for something that your grandparents did. So you got to pray for that. So I don't know. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about that. Janice Combs coming out making that comment. Do you think that she should have just not said anything? Um, and let me know what your thoughts are. We need to hold our sons accountable and all that kind of stuff. Hit that like, subscribe, and share, and notification. Until the next video, you guys be blessed.